Hello, beautiful Pisces, and welcome to December 2020, a really revolutionary and quite different energetic month than we've had for a very long time. You know, the big ticket item, there's a few, I guess. There's a solar eclipse for the new moon in Sagittarius, but there's also this big thing happening with Saturn and Jupiter conjunct moving into Aquarius. Now, we really have not worked heavy duty with Aquarius as a collective for a long time. Aquarian energy has kind of been behind the scenes. And so, I mean, we've been tasting it a little bit this year as Saturn went into Aquarius for a few months. However, this is a really different energy. Aquarian energy pulls something totally different out of us as a collective because it's a very collective focused energy and as individuals. And I find it really interesting when I look at Pisces and how the energy is working with you this month to think about how Saturn and Jupiter are both moving into your neighboring sign of Aquarius. And especially if you're a Pisces rising, but even a sun or a moon, this energy emphasizes and highlights 12th house energy, which Pisces is already deeply aligned with, right? That 12th sign, 12th house energy is all about the ascended spiritual, right? It is about expanding ourselves into that almost abstract sense of spirit, right? Where we're no longer obsessed with the details on earth. We're no longer just in the physical. We're in a very deeply heightened, spiritual, hidden, secret, magical realm. And I actually really love this emphasis of energy in Aquarius for Pisces. I think in some ways, you know, this is a time of deeper diving. And we talked about this a little bit in November, actually. And I'm going to keep this conversation rolling because the themes came up again and again for me. You know, this time, throughout this month and as we move more and deeper into this energy, Pisces is going to be noticing that part of yourself that was already kind of tapped into another realm, not really here in the way things function on a practical, linear level, is getting emphasized. And I think initially that might sound really scary, like, oh no, like how can I function with that being heightened? Here's the thing though. We're culturally trained not to trust the nonlinear part of ourselves, not to trust our gut instinct, not to trust our inner knowing, not to trust things that give us joy and following those, like, even in the details. You know, often we watch movies that talk about characters who leave behind everything to follow what they love. But the reality is that yes, those big moments happen, but we often find our path in the details. We often find what we love in the tininess, not in just the explosive movements, right? My point being that we are often trained not to trust that Piscean energy, but each of us has, right? The ocean, the water, the knowing. We're often taught to actually shut it off and do whatever is cookie cutter prescribed. This energy emphasizes you using your gifts. And like I said, we've been talking about this year for you Pisces, but truly, like, with this shift, you've got to use your gifts, because the more you fight them, the more you're going to feel like you are in some kind of strange gobbledygook dream where all the houses are at angles and you can't walk straight. And even though culture is going to tell you that it's not okay to trust yourself, it's very important that you do that with these shifts coming. And we will keep talking about this. I have no doubt about that. In January, we'll come back to this theme. But just know that this month we are shifting into that territory. And that's not the only thing. Let me get the cards shuffled. We have this new moon and eclipse in Sagittarius, fellow mutable sign with you, highlighting who you are in the world, who you want to be, helping you kind of set some new goals, set some new understandings around what it is you want to bring forward, right? And to let go of whatever you feel like maybe past goals you've had, maybe goals you had in January of this past year that went away and morphed and changed. Let them go if they're not serving you, right? Because everything about this month is about shedding a skin, dropping the heaviness of the cloak, being open to what's possible next, being open to the possibility of joy coming from unexpected places. These are all themes that we are going to be working with more and more as we get used to Aquarian energy. It is very different than Capricorn energy, which wants linear results, wants grounded understanding, wants things to function properly. When we get to Aquarius, we're more focused on liberation, yes, but not liberation in the way we think of the French Revolution or that angry kind of liberation. We're talking about liberation in the form of being true to yourself, being true to who you really are. And doing that in a way that is loving toward those around you as well. And that means healthy boundaries. It means respect for others. It means, it's a complex form of liberation that Aquarius brings with it. But it's also very curious. It's also energy that wants us to explore beyond the status quo. So I think Pisces, you'll be able to roll with that quite well. But there's energy here that is asking you to open up to who you want to be. And even Venus is moving into Sagittarius this month on the 15th, highlighting, what you want to build and make beautiful in this world. The Tower. After that entire discussion just now leading up to this about how evolution is not in the big moments and then the Tower comes out. It's such a 2020 card. And I don't know. I was also just talking a lot about liberation, so maybe Nine of Cups. Maybe, yeah, okay, that makes sense. To me, the Tower is about liberation. It's actually, I really associate it with Aquarian energy. Eight of Cups, oh, such a popular card in December, let me tell you right now. There's a vibe. And 10 of Pentacles. Okay. So, I always say with the Tower, context matters with tarot reading. It's because the Tower is a liberator. He wants to topple, it wants to topple the power systems that are strangling our life force, right? So the inner dictator, often say it gets deposed during the Tower, but it can also be situations, dynamics, whatever. There is a toppling going on here of things that are not, they're hurting us, right? And the Tower, that can either come as like kind of a shock to the system. Sometimes things happen, right? But sometimes, and often actually, the Tower comes as a form of shift, right? It's something that we have been building toward for a long time. What it does is it allows us to actually move forward and move on and move into the nourishment. And the thing with the Tower here is it's right next to very beautiful energy. Some of the most supportive energy, in fact, you can get. And here's what's really interesting. And this is just something, December, the big thing with December is we can't carry the heaviness with us. We can't carry our old grievances with us, our old pains with us. Whatever we can, wherever we are in our process, whatever we can solidly put down and let go, that is a good thing. And that is still showing up in this reading. For me, the Tower is about, maybe you've been holding yourself back. Maybe you've been feeling locked up. And I mean, there has been some of that grounded kind of gridlock energy this year where it's like I'm literally sitting inside this Tower waiting, right? But the Tower releases some of that energy. It takes the top off that pressure, right? And it allows something out. And that can be practical, but this is often something spiritual. This is often a breakthrough. This is often something that makes it clicks. It makes sense. We no longer are holding ourselves back from letting ourselves be who we really want to be, from following our path. And like I said, this can also be about actually having huge breakthroughs when it comes to something that you've needed to sort out, a solution you've been seeking, an answer, a release, a freedom from something that has been heavy or weighing on you. And that is making space for this beautiful Nine of Cups, right? The thing with Nine of Cups is this is about those spaces that make you feel easy and nourished and soft, and like you don't have to be in a rush, you don't have to worry about scarcity, you don't have to worry about the thing being there one day and then disappearing. This is the space that is very soft. And in a lot of ways, when I see this guy and he's in this surrounded little like cocoon of that cups energy, that love energy, right? I think about this being almost a representation of our gut instinct, of our deep knowing, right? Our deep knowing is quiet. Sometimes it makes a little noise, but often it's just sitting there saying, hey, when you're ready, I'm here. And the answers that I bring to you are not going to be cataclysmic. They're not going to try and lock you up. They're not going to get you afraid of the world. They're going to be soft. They're going to be subtle. They're going to be soulful. And this breadcrumb trail I want you to follow. Now, sometimes we have a moment of the tower. It can be a moment of contrast. It can be a moment of realization and epiphany. It can be a moment of exhaustion, saying, I'm done with that. But then that very quickly will direct you straight to this voice. And this is where we want you to go. Now, we also have this Eight of Cups here, our dear friend Eight of Cups. I love this energy. And this card, like I said, is very deeply tied to eclipse season this year. It's with the eclipse that we're having, the lunar eclipse on November 30th, and then the solar eclipse on December 14th. Eclipse season is asking us to do the important work of Eight of Cups. Here are these cups, right? And we've imbibed from them. Maybe it's been a lifestyle thing that we've had to do for a while, or friendships, or communities, or a project, or a thought process, or an identity, or a thought of who we've been. Shows up in so many ways. And we have a choice. We can keep drinking from that cup, or we can get curious enough to know that, you know, we've tasted that. We know what that tastes like. And we also know that it's not tasting quite right anymore. And we get curious enough to try something else, right? And I'm not trying to advocate for just like being like, oh, well, this is boring, I'm not doing it anymore. It's so much subtler than that. You know, these are those things that we know have to change inside of ourselves, right? Or in our world, you know, like sometimes like trying to do the same job over and over again. We keep saying, but it works. It's a great job. I have good benefits and I can go there and my coworkers are nice. I should just be happy with this. I should just be contented with this. Why can't I just make it work? Because there's a deeper calling. And it's not that you're ungrateful. It's not that you're being flippant or careless, right? This is something that's been calling for you for a long time. And it does take some time to culminate to the point of the Eight of Cups. But you are being asked to look at where it is you may be still holding on, saying, but this works, it's functional, I should be grateful. But you're being called towards something big, a bigger destiny, a bigger identity. And we're always being called to this. In life, it's so interesting to me because so often culture has taught us, we're going to be talking a lot about culture today, and what that youth is where the great things are, right? That when you're 20, that is your peak, and then it's all downhill from there because you're going to get wrinkles and you may not be hyperactive and hyper alert forever. So, you know, and therefore life gets less rich as you go on. But most of us know, if you've lived long enough, and I've lived just long enough, I'm still a baby in so many ways, but I've lived long enough to know that life actually gets so much richer, so much deeper, so much more profound the more we live. And the thing is that as we evolve and as we transform, and as Pisces, you all tap into your innate spiritual voice that is going to get so heightened with this energy in Aquarius. The richer your life gets, the more refined your vision gets, the more you tap into Ten of Pentacles. Now, here's what I will say. All four of these cards are about the big picture. They are not about immediate changes. You know, throw December in the wash machine, wash it, dry it, hang it out, done, ready to go. Eclipse season done. We washed it out, now we're ready to go. You know, it's not about you having immediate results. It's not about you having a tower moment, lightning striking some stuff out, walking away from some things, cutting things off right and left, and then poof, built a new legacy, right? It's not the goal. We don't need to even go there. It's never been the goal in life, ever. This is the invitational. This is the energetic invitational to this whole process. So, as the month elapses, notice what is naturally shifting for you. Notice what big pings you are getting on your Piscean knowing. Don't fight it. Don't try to avoid it. Don't belittle it. Don't let culture tell you that time is running out or you're not enough. Listen to that Piscean voice. Because the pieces are shifting, but they're doing it behind the scenes first. And that's one thing to notice with Piscean energy and 12th house energy in general, is the way that it works is 99% of it is done behind the scenes, which is like the secret of existence, right? Is that it's not done on the surface, which is why it's so funny when we're watching movies and we're watching that play out of even like the hero's journey or just, you know, any kind of typical movie. It's all about the external action and how everything's moving and boom, 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 boom. So we start to think that's how it should work, that 95% of the work should all be external. Piscean energy, 12th house energy, deeper spiritual energy knows that all of the interesting, intricate, powerful things happen behind the scenes first. And therefore, the mechanics, the external world start to move, right? And that doesn't mean that we're inactive when we just lay there as like a blob, even though I always talk about feeling like a blob in space floating through. That's how I feel most of the time, so I get it with you guys. It's not about inaction. It's about taking actions that are spilling out constantly. The overflow, the overpouring of that internal alchemy. And that's a constant thing that's happening all the time. It doesn't mean you have to sit still for 6 months and lay there and be like, when is life going to happen? When you're listening to your gut instinct, when you're listening to what gives you joy and fuels you, that overflow is every day. You'll find yourself taking actions and doing things that are beautiful and aligned, but it's because there's something deeper going on. And that's 12th house energy for you. And that's what's getting highlighted here in the coming year ahead. I'll talk about that more in January. I have some affirmations for you to take with you during this very powerful time. And I just want to tell you now that December 14th through the 21st, through that solstice, is a really powerful time. Please take care of yourselves. Please be kind to yourselves and those around you. And just remember that. Here are your affirmations. I trust my creative spark to lead me forward. I have innate value, and I do not need to earn it. I allow answers to come through I allow answers to come through my observing the mystery of life. I welcome new ways to solve problems and find pathways. You know, when I think about the tower, I often think about it as new ways to see a problem, new ways to see a pathway, new ways to see ourselves. It's a very transformational energy. And there is a lot of just new perspective that will be arising for so many of us over the next couple of months as things start to shift and change. It's going to continue in January. We will get into that then. Have a beautiful eclipse season, have a beautiful shift into Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius. I will definitely be doing a whole series of resources over on Patreon for that shift into Aquarian energy because it is big and it's very different. And most of us have not been working with Aquarian energy on the regular for a while. So I hope to see you over there. I'd love to share those resources with you, and it's a great little space, really affordable way to connect with me and to get more support. You can also find me on my website and on Instagram. So I'll leave all of those links below, and you can find Pink Loon's gorgeous jewelry on her Etsy shop. I will see you all in January, and I will also see you for the Moon Magics in December. Have a beautiful December, last month of 2020. I love you, Pisces, so much.